What is up? Welcome to another edition of Sactown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and we have Jason finally back. It's just been a crazy time, as I've explained in previous videos, that we've been having a tough time connecting just with the busyness. But we're back, and we'll be doing a few reviews, and then hopefully things will die down. Hopefully after the New Year's a little bit, and we can probably record a little bit more regularly. I should hope, anyways. So
yeah.
But it's good to have you back. The show is always a little bit easier when it's two people versus just one person talking, in my opinion. So just to get into actual discussions about the film versus just me being opinionated and talking about a film. So it's always good to have another person to I'm always right.
To be right. To be right.
I'm always
you
right.
You need me here to be right to balance out your wrongness.
I need another opinion. That way, when people are like, "Wow, Kier really knows his stuff," and Jason, I don't know why that guy's even involved. His taste is terrible.
Although I am glad that you enjoyed the Escape Room sequel, because I liked that quite a bit too.
Yeah, I did. I didn't expect to like it. I thought it was going to be another rehash, but I did like what they did with it, and it seems like they kind of set themselves up for another film, is what it seems like. So
yeah, I want a trilogy. They're both like they're so stupid in a lot of ways. They make no sense, and logically, if you think about it for 2 seconds, it falls apart. But they're just really entertaining. You know what I mean? And I like those kind of trap movies like Cube and stuff like that.
Yeah, it reminded me a lot of Cube, and like you said, I kind of alluded to it, I think, in my review as well, that like, how rich would somebody have to be to even pull something like that off? I mean, as soon as you think about that, it's you got to check your brain at the door for those kinds of films.
Yeah, but it's just fun. It's just fun, and the characters are likable. I like both of those movies a lot, so I'm hoping for a trilogy.
For sure.
Yeah, and I liked Ghostbusters more than you, I will say. I liked it quite a bit. I didn't love it, but it was definitely. I don't know if I didn't have low expectations or high expectations necessarily. I just had kind of neutral expectations, and I ended up enjoying it. It didn't do anything amazing. It didn't reinvent the wheel. I don't think it was trying to, but I liked it. So
yeah, I mean, I didn't dislike it. I liked it. I gave it 3 out of 5, which I generally liked it. It just, my only gripe with it is that it just felt more like a rehash of the old film. You know what I mean? It didn't really offer a whole lot new for me. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been cooler to see like some, I guess, newer ghosts, if you will, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's been 30 years, and you're basically dragging out the same two, demon dogs, and you know what I mean? Like,
the gatekeeper and the keymaster, and Zool, and toward the end, I will say, like, that last like 30-40 minutes is probably the weakest part of the movie, but like the whole first half I thought was really well done.
Yeah, so I didn't dislike it. It just I don't know. I just I feel like you've had quite some time. We could have introduced a lot of newer ghosts, if you will, because even that one ghost that's kind of towards the beginning looks basically like slime. You know what I mean?
Chopper, Chopper is basically Slimer, just a little bit different.
So hopefully if they make another one, they'll take notice and move on to some newer, scarier ghosts, or you know what I mean? That's new, fresh.
Yeah. And if you stayed through the if anybody stayed through the very, very, very end, it does certainly look like they would like to carry it on, and I would be up for that, especially if they brought in some new stuff.
Yeah, I think they made some money, so I assume that it will.
Yeah.
So, for sure. So.
Yeah. Okay, but 8-Bit Christmas. 8-Bit Christmas.
All right, 8-Bit Christmas. So the film we're actually reviewing today, after our 4 minutes of talking, is actually going to be 8-Bit Christmas, which is actually now streaming on HBO Max.
HBO Max.
Yeah. Is it in theaters? I don't know.
No, it's straight to HBO Max.
Yeah, so it's streaming on HBO Max, so I'll go ahead and bring that in, and I say we get right into it. I'll go ahead and take this one. It's not the most difficult film to describe, I would feel like. So basically, 8-Bit Christmas stars basically Neal Patrick Harris in a way. It basically begins with basically him and his daughter going to their grandmother's house, and while they're there, the first thing that they notice is he has like an old school, original generation Nintendo. Which, obviously most of us of our age grew up playing, back in the late 80s when it first came out. And his daughter's clearly not that into it. She's more into like playing on her phone. Well, he wants to tell her a story about how he actually got the Nintendo, the original 8-bit Nintendo. And so basically it flashbacks to when he's a kid in the late 80s, which is kind of like, Jason and I's coming of age years. Well, 80s and 90s, I guess, if you will. But and then goes through like basically the issues that he's having, basically trying to get one. There's a kid in the neighborhood that's like super rich, and it's like the first kid in their neighborhood that has one. And so basically all the other kids are basically having to go to this kid's house in order to play, and he's just tired and fed up because there's like 40, 50 kids that come out of this rich kid's house every day, and they're wanting to like get in there and play the game, and he'll pick like a selected few, like 4 or 5 kids to come in and like play with him. And if you're not picked, then you don't get to play. And then even if you are picked, half the time you don't get to play because the kid pretty much monopolizes the game the entire time. So basically, Neil Patrick's younger version, as a kid, basically asked his parents to basically kind of like help him. For Christmas, he wants the Nintendo, and they're basically shut it down. So it's basically the rest of the films is like all the other hijinks that he has to go through in order to try to get the Nintendo, which we already know he eventually does get. And that's kind of basically it. So it's basically a comedy where set in the 80s. It reminds me a lot of a Christmas Story in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. It's very, very similar to Christmas Story because it, like how the Christmas Story is basically kind of narrated by an adult or whatever. This one's in a nutshell basically narrated by Neil Patrick Harris, and it's kind of set years before, whereas that one was set I think like the 60s or 50s, or I can't remember what time period that A Christmas Story is supposed to be in. So
no, I think maybe even the 40s. I think maybe.
Okay, so maybe the 40s. Yeah, I'm not for sure the time period of that one, but this one's kind of like the 80s version of that. And instead of the Red Ryder BB gun, it's a Nintendo basically, and that's basically all you really need to know because it's got that same kind of thing. It's got bullies that they have to deal with. It's got like the parents and dealing with them and them saying no, you don't need this, but instead of it being dangerous, well, I guess it is still dangerous because they thought it was like ruining kids' minds and that sort of stuff. So but in a nutshell, I mean, like I said, it's a newer version, but it does remind me a lot of A Christmas Story. But I dug it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was funny a lot of parts. Like I said, it reminded me a lot of my childhood. They bring out the coveted Power Glove, which was like which also reminds me of what was that movie with Randy Savage, or not Randy Savage, but Fred Savage?
Randy Savage. The Wizard, I love The Wizard. Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, The Wizard, where they break out like the Power Glove at the end, and it's like this cool new thing. And I remember I had a Power Glove as a kid, and I was like, this thing is like not that good. It didn't move quite the way that you thought it was going to move, and it just wasn't that great. Well, it's actually exploited in this film as well. So you get an opportunity to see in action how that Power Glove was not exactly what we all thought it was going to be. Like, oh, wow, the Power Glove. But they made it look so cool in The Wizard. It's like, the Power Glove. You know what I mean? You were so excited.
Yeah.
But in this film, you quickly realize that it's not really that cool. So,
yeah.
In a nutshell, I liked it. I thought it was fun. I thought it was good. I think it's a great holiday film. And I've seen A Christmas Story so many times that I'm always love when there's a new film that I can watch that you can watch with the entire family. That's fun and everybody can sit around the holidays and watch. Obviously, A Christmas Story airs, I think, like 24 hours a day on Christmas Day. So
Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, I think. Yeah.
So it's nice to be able to take a break and watch something that's new and fun. Also, even if it reminds me a lot of A Christmas Story, because in this one, instead of a little brother, he has a little sister that's just as can be annoying at times. So, but I dug it, man. I thought it was fun. What was your take, Jason?
Oh yeah, same thing. I really enjoyed it. As soon as I heard the plot for this movie, I knew I was gonna like it pretty much because, like you alluded to, I mean, like when you and I were like the same age as these kids when this movie is set. It's set. It seems to be set. I don't remember the exact year that the Nintendo came out, but I think it was 88, maybe 80, 87, 88, somewhere around there. But I was these kids in a lot of ways. I was about the same age, and I also wanted a Nintendo for Christmas, like really more than any, like more than anything in the world, I wanted that Nintendo for Christmas. And you know, same as it is now, really. But when I was a kid, like, you know, the whole year kind of revolves around Christmas. You know, for me at that age.
Yeah, for sure.
So this movie was like, you know, almost like made for me in some ways. You know what I mean? So I knew I was going to like it if it you know if it didn't. If it was even so slightly good, I was gonna like it. You know what I mean? So, and it is. It's more than slightly good. I think it's a really good movie. It does. I mean, you could call it like a, you know, like a little bit too like A Christmas Story, because it does. The narration does really have that same kind of tone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you know, it's got the way it talks about the mother and the father and the sibling and the, you know, it's very, very Christmas Story. But I mean, like, so I mean, like, it's, you know, it's not a Christmas Story, but it's still good. And it's also got a little bit of the Sandlot in it, you know, like the Wizard. So yeah, like, you know, it's nostalgia is big now. We all know that. Whether that's good or bad for, you know, society, I don't know. But you know, I you know, we're in our 40s now, so you know, I think everybody in their 40s is a little nostalgic. So there's just a lot of movies about that right now. That's all.
Yeah, and if you're,
and movies and TV shows bringing all that stuff back, you know.
Yeah, so I haven't shown it to any of the kids here at the house, but I am curious if the kids today will get the same enjoyment and feeling out of it like we did, because, you know, obviously a Nintendo is kind of, you know, ancient, old school, you know what I mean? But they still have Nintendos today, obviously, so maybe there will be some of that remnants. But for us, it definitely is right in our wheelhouse, like you said, because, you know, at the time, you know, this film, I remember when I got the Nintendo, and I was actually living in Nebraska, and it snows there, and so it was wintertime there, and I remember like a lot of that, hanging out with my friends and going, like, you know, sledding and you know, that kind of stuff. So it reminded me a lot of my childhood, and that's kind of why I liked it. And, you know, and the group of kids that he hangs out with is a very like mixed group, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the group that I kind of had when I was living in Nebraska. So you know, it reminded me a lot of my childhood, and that's another reason why I really, really enjoyed it. It just kind of reminded me of that time period. It kind of took me back to remembering like when I wanted that Nintendo for the first time, and, you know, and actually, yeah, I actually ended up getting it, but you know what I mean? But it was like one of those things where, you know, I know a lot of kids in my neighborhood didn't get one because for that very reason, like parents thought it was rotting their brain, or, you know, they didn't want them playing video games all day. And I mean, in hindsight, they were probably right, because nowadays you can't keep kids off video games. That's all they do these days is play video games. Like, like, you know, they're just gamers now. So, but yeah, no, it's just, you know, it's just a really fun, just great holiday film that I think everybody can enjoy, and it's one you can watch with a family. So,
yeah, and I will add that I still have my original Nintendo, and it still works. Actually, believe it or not.
Yeah, I don't have the.
That's a well-made product.
Yeah, I don't have the original Nintendo, and because I remember I tried to save it for a while, but I just got so frustrated with having to blow on it and the little tricks of hitting the little button, hitting the cartridge up and down, and blowing inside the cartridge, you know, restarting it, and just doing all the little tricks I had to do in order to keep it running. That I ended up just getting rid of it. I was like, this thing's a pain. I think I do still have the Super Nintendo though, which you know, which, you know, was always kind of like more my, which was fun. That was always a fun one that I had for many years, and it was nice because you didn't have to blow on it all the time, and, you know, and that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, cool. Anything else you want to add about 8-Bit Christmas?
No, it's a fun one to watch for sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, what is the grade and face you would give this one?
Okay, so I feel like I'm undercutting it just a little bit, because I was trying to like rate it, like try to keep my nostalgia level in check a little bit, and there were a few things that didn't quite ring true, like the whole subplot about like the Nintendos being like outlawed in the county or whatever, and like the parents like protesting. That really didn't play for me because I don't think it was really like that. I don't remember. At least not. To me. Yeah, exactly. I think that was more of like a kind of just they had to invent some kind of, because, you know, it's a very the way screenplays are written, there has to be some kind of obstacle for the character to overcome, and it seems like they could have come up with a better obstacle than having the mom like on a picket line anti-Nintendo. I don't know, that didn't play for me really. But overall, I really enjoyed it. So right now it's a 3.5 out of 5, which is a solid B for me. and a nice smile. But I know for a fact this is one that I will watch every few years, which is a lot more than a lot of other movies that I've rated higher than that. So I fully expect that rating to go up the more times I watch it, and I start getting used to the things that bugged me a little bit this time. But yeah, I really liked it still, though.
For sure. Actually, believe it or not, I'm actually going to give it the same grade. I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. So that's a big smile with some teeth. So, yeah, I agree with you pretty much. There were definitely some parts I didn't. My childhood wasn't. Everybody was against it or against video games. And I got to imagine in certain sectors, maybe like very religious places or just maybe certain towns and areas where that could have been a thing. I gotta imagine, but it did feel a little thrown in, a little forced, and I think it goes back to, like I said, it lending itself heavily from A Christmas Story, whereas in that scenario, parents really didn't want the kids to have them because they were dangerous. They were BB guns that he wanted.
Shoot your eye out.
Shoot your eye out. And so even the teachers were against it and told them the same thing. And Santa was against them in that one because, said that you'll shoot your eye out or whatever. So yeah, I feel like this one maybe because they obviously heavily were influenced by that film. I don't know. Maybe they just had to throw, like you said, some other obstacle in because it wasn't just enough to have the bullies, and there had to be some reason why the parents didn't want them to have it. That kind of stuff. So, but yeah, like I said, I do wish that they had just kept it and maybe it was just too expensive for them or something like that. I don't know. So,
yeah.
I think that would have been easier because that would have made more sense. So why he had to go through and try to buy it himself in terms of, doing, odd jobs and things of that nature. So that would have been, I think if they had just left it at that, that would have been fun. So.
I agree.
Oh, cool.
But still, it's a fun movie.
Fun movie for sure. But like I said, it's streaming right now on HBO Max. Urge you guys to check it out. If you've seen it, obviously let us know down in the comments. How does it add up for you? How does it rank for your top holiday films? For me, because a lot of the ones and we did a top 5 show before traditional and non-traditional Christmas films. This one would definitely be one that I'm not saying this is my top 5 or nothing like that, but it's definitely one that could be integrated into the films that I watched in the holiday season. But definitely let us know down in the comments. If you've seen it, if you like it, where does it rank for you? As always, if you like the channel, we ask that you subscribe, make sure you hit that bell notification, and we'll be back soon with another show for you guys. We thank you for watching and hope you guys have a great day. Bye.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays indeed. Bye.